All right, so today's August 5 of 2026, and there's negotiations between the county and I.U.P.A for the corrections officers and sergeants contract. So I'm Jeff Mandel, the county's labor attorney. Let's just identify the bargaining teams for the record.
I'm Sabrina Slager with the county attorney's office in-house.
Rena Matusiak, Director of Public Protection.
Dana Page, Human Resources.
Joe Demore, Director of Correction.
Sean Vantoff, Secretary.
Jessica Smith.
Matt Harrison, President.
Maurice Arcadio, Union Attorney.
Jennifer Gray.
Matt Miller, Treasurer.
Greg Cook, Business City.
Eddie Caslow.
Okay. All right, well, we have a package of our proposals, which also constitute our response to the proposals that you all sent over. So Dana will go ahead and hand them out, and then we'll kind of walk through what we're proposing.
That ain't right.
You got any more?
That's one else, we can split one down here between two.
Here, Ian Smith, that's good.
Thank you.
All right, so walking through this, the first substantive proposal in the package, or first substantive article, is preamble, and nobody's seeking to change that one. Recognition, you all didn't seek to change it. We're not seeking to change that at all. Article 2, non-discrimination, you didn't propose changes. We're not proposing changes. Article 3, work stoppages, you all didn't propose changes. We're not proposing to change. Article 4, personnel records, you didn't propose any changes. We're not proposing changes. Article 5, severability, you didn't propose changes. We're not either. Article 6, bulletin boards, you didn't propose changes. We're not proposing changes. Article 7, dues deductions, you didn't propose changes. We didn't propose changes. Article 8, you didn't propose changes, and we didn't propose changes. Article 9 is the first proposal where you all wanted some changes, and we've counter-proposed with some changes. So as you can see, you all proposed changing the 7 days to 14. We're agreeing to do that. We also added in 9.02 that we provide electronic copies of any new rules, regulations, et cetera. And you all had proposed a new 9.03. We rejected the new 9.03. But I think at the end of the day, we accomplished one of your main objectives, and that was to extend that period for review from the 7 to 14 days. Article 10, union business. You proposed some changes, and we've counter-proposed. You, in 10.04, you asked to add in union business. We agreed to do that. And just for the record, so what we did in the package is that everything that is either stricken or added is in red font. You all in 10.5 asked to change the cap from 245 to 350. We agreed to do that. And those are the only changes that we agreed to. Individual rights, we're proposing status quo. I don't believe, you all didn't propose any changes to Article 11 either. So both parties are in agreement on leaving that status quo. Grievance and arbitration, you all proposed to change the identity of who hears each step. We would like to keep those steps as is. On page 19, you essentially propose to lack of a better term, got 12.10. And so we wanted to leave 12.10, but we're proposing to remove 12.11. Make that consistent with some of the other contracts. The new 12.11 was an issue that you all have raised on a number of occasions regarding use of force and moral conduct violations and what we provide to the state on Form 78. So we've proposed a provision that if any bargaining unit employee is sustained an internal affairs investigation to have engaged in the inappropriate use of force with a person in the county's custody, if you're in a position where you can prevent another employee from doing that but refuse to do that, or you become a witness to do it and you fail to report it, you will have been deemed to have engaged in a terminal offense on the first occurrence and a moral character violation and be separated from employment without the right to appeal under the county's merit rules. And we will report that to the DLE on Form 78 to address the concerns that you all have raised. Management rights, Article 13. Nobody's proposed any changes to that one.
Real quick, I have a question.
Yeah.
On the use of force, are we going by the statute 776? The statute that covers use of force in the state of Florida?
We could. I mean, if you'd like to, if that's what you'd like to add in there, we'll consider doing that.
Well, I mean, I think that that's, you got Graham v. Conner, all of this stuff, that objective reasonableness, everything is going to come under 776.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing is that, yeah, we'll take a look at that. As we're talking this through without having sat down and gone back and looked at 776, that does sound reasonable to me. But I'd just like to take a look at that. But, if that's the case, then we can actually incorporate, we specifically identify 776.
Right, just so you know, Kyle and I went to a CJSTC hearing, and in which the CJSTC panel said that they were going to strictly go off of whether the use of force was in compliance with 776.
Okay.
Because that's the state, that's the
All right.
legislature's determination of what the use of force is.
Okay. I mean, that's actually helpful information. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, so that takes us to Article 14. And so in Article 14, 14.02, will we want to change it to be consistent with the merit rules? And this is part of our financial package because there is a significant cost associated with this. But change it to say that holidays will be considered productive for purposes of overtime calculations. And by doing that, we no longer need that sentence in 1405 that makes it productive if there's vacation within the 14 calendar days. So it would be productive for all purposes, regardless of whether or not the vacation is requested 14 days in advance. And so that's the only change we're proposing for 14. In leaves of absence, in 15.02, we want to strike, in accordance with policy 1203 of the Volusia County Division of Corrections Policies and Procedures Manual. We believe it's outdated, and what we would like to just say is that you, subject to discipline after the 7th occurrence, will accept documentation for 2 additional unscheduled call-outs per year, and anything thereafter will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. In 1514, we'd like to reduce the number of leave slots from 4 back down to 3 as a way of reducing overtime. We believe that still leaves enough slots for folks to take leave. And we're rejecting the proposals that you have in 15.4, 15.5, 15.16 to increase the leave accruals. In Article 16, bereavement leave, in 1601, we want to comport the contract with the county's current merit rules. We don't want to have to administer two different systems. There are some some differences, obviously, between the two. Most notably is under the merit rules and what we're proposing, the leave has to be taken in no more than 2 consecutive blocks of time, or 2 blocks of time with the leave taken consecutively in those blocks of time, to avoid that situation where somebody wants 5 hours of bereavement leave this pay period, and then next month they want 5 more. Basically, you can split up the leave into 2 blocks, but everything has to be, all that time has to be used in one of the 2 blocks.
Unless there's a unique second bereavement.
I'm sorry?
Unless it's a unique second bereavement.
Oh, well, the second bereavement is treated as a separate. This is, and I don't think anybody at the table does this, but unfortunately there are folks that will, a year later turn around and say, oh, now I want to take my bereavement leave, or folks that will take, a couple of days here, a couple of days there, with respect to the bereavement leave. So that's basically what this is addressing. Article 17, insurance, we want to keep that status quo. Our wage proposal for the first year of the contract, we're proposing $1.16 an hour increase for all corrections officers, a $1.13 increase for senior correction officers, and $1 an hour increase for sergeant. We're proposing the pay ranges that are identified in B. Corrections officer minimum is 25.9398 and the maximum is 37.1198. And for corrections sergeants, we're proposing a minimum of $29.7480 and a maximum of 43.8922. For senior officer pay, we're actually incorporating into the contract for the first time the requirements for that. The current requirement of 6 or more years of full-time service, the current requirement of the 80 hours of the FDLE salary incentive coursework, the current enrollment and completion of the 1-minute manager class. What we've added is the requirement that you've earned a 2-year degree in criminal justice or related field, or you're a certified instructor and you teach at least 1 class per year. And with respect to meet those requirements, you get 5%. And for fiscal years 27, 28, and 28, 29, we're proposing that bargaining employees receive the same increases as the county's general wage increase. (1804) new language, the field training officer. What we're proposing is an additional $1.50 an hour special assignment pay for all hours worked as a field training officer. And 1805, we're proposing new language in the contract of special assignment pay of 75 cents an hour for CERT team members. Article 19, limitations on opening negotiations. Nobody's proposed any changes to that. Uniform cleaning allowance. We reject the union's proposal, and we're proposing to leave that at $16 per week. The shoe allowance, we're agreeing to or proposing to increase that from the $100 it currently is to $125. Probation, we want to leave status quo. Retirement, Article 23, we're proposing to leave status quo. Article 24, we're agreeing to your proposed changes to 2403 with respect to the federal per diem travel rate. We're rejecting your new Article 24, which is the ratification incentive, and then Article 25, I believe, everybody's in agreement on changing the end date from September 30th of 2026 to September 30th of 2029. So that's our entire package of proposals.
Well, we don't have questions. The union needs to discuss privately the,
Sure, I mean, we can caucus.
I got a question.
Sure.
What's the county's, removing the personnel board, is there not any due process that you want to give the officers if they disagree with the findings?
Well, I mean, we were okay with the system as it was. You all proposed to change the system to the way you want it, and, so we're, if it's in a perfect world, we'd propose to change it the way we did. I mean, we weren't the ones that came in and said, hey, the system's broken, we need to fix it. You all did.
Well, it's broken because we also have just cause in our contract, and it doesn't seem like we want to even entertain just cause. And who's decide, I mean, the thing is, Jeff, is where's the parameters in the, you want us to put this in the contract, I think, that's, if they get found guilty of a use of force.
Oh, you're talking about two separate things.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're talking about, I was talking about, you all proposed to basically change the way that discipline is handled. Forget about the use of force. You proposed changes to how we currently handle disciplinary actions. It goes to the personnel board, and then it's subject to review at arbitration. You all proposed to change that. And so if you all want to change it to your ideal system, then we're proposing to change it to our ideal system.
Okay. So the ideal system for you is having the
The ideal system, the ideal system would be the same way that we have it in the beach contracts and in the transport contracts. But that's not what we have here, and we didn't come in with this saying, hey, we want to change it. You all said you want to change it. I mean, so if you all are going to come in and propose, the changes to make it the way you want it to be, as opposed to the compromise that we reached a number of years ago, well, then obviously we're going to take the same position.
right.
The use of force, I mean, you know why we're raising the use of force, because you're the one that has repeatedly raised that issue,
Right.
that we need to start notifying FDLE of the use of force. And we need to take a consistent position with respect to it. So
Absolutely.
that's what we
But
propose.
it's not me that's saying it, it's the statute that says it.
Yeah, so I mean, we're addressing it. I mean, so the thing is that that's separate and apart from the mechanism for reviewing discipline.
Okay, so it's separate and apart from the mechanism for reviewing discipline.
Right.
But the way the contract reads, it's an automatic termination if they find you guilty or sustain the moral character.
Right.
But who,
Because I thought that's the way you wanted it.
how about what about FDLE? Because they've been coming back from FDLE, from the state attorney's office and the sheriff's office, that there's no violation. But who's determining that? That's the question.
Well, they're not coming back saying there's no violation, they're saying there's no criminal charge. So
Which-
two different things.
Yes, which is the excessive force, because they're going by 776, right? 776 is the statute that governs use of force.
So let me just make sure I understand the union's position. So the union's position is the only time that a corrections officer can be disciplined for excessive use of force is if that force rises to the level of a criminal act. I mean, because that's what it sounds like what you're saying, is that the only time we should be able to discipline somebody is if it rises to the level of criminal act.
Isn't an excessive use of force a criminal act?
It can be. It can be, but not every excessive use of force is well, I guess in theory, every time that you put hands on somebody that you're not supposed to, in theory, is a battery. But it doesn't necessarily rise to the level of a violation of the statute.
Right, but the way that the contracts are, it doesn't even establish what an excessive use of force is. What are we going on?
Okay, so come back with a definition that you're comfortable with.
Just curious.
But
Yeah.
our use of force policy you guys reviewed and agreed to does spell out what excessive use of force is. So it's in there. You guys reviewed that in depth and we worked together on what that was. Isn't that true?
We worked on the policy, yeah.
Yeah. And the wording's in there. It's defined. They're defined in there, all that. Unnecessary, excessive, they're all in there. And we reviewed that together and put that in play.
Well, now we're putting it in the contract, which is if it's an excessive use of force, it's automatic termination. Doesn't seem to be any process for, arguing whether that is or isn't. And what we've been arguing about is consistency.
Right, well, but the only way we're going to ensure consistency is to say there's one size fits all. Because here's the problem, is that every time we review this and say, all right, you know what, under these circumstances, that person didn't commit a moral character violation. What they did was wrong, and we can all agree what they did was wrong, but it doesn't rise to the level of moral character violation. But then if we turn around and say that somebody else under those, under the circumstances that they found themselves, that yes, that does, then we get into these arguments that, hey, you're treating these people differently. Well, unfortunately, at times you do treat people differently because there are different circumstances. And look, I get it. Both of us have been doing this long enough that two different people can look at the same set of facts and come to different conclusions. And we're always, we've worked together many, many years, see eye to eye on a lot of things, but there are some things we just look at differently. There's gonna be disagreements. The only way to avoid the disagreements is to have this one size fits all. And then there would be no disagreements anymore.
But it's not a one size fits all. It's you determine what size fits all. And the officers, and if this contract were to be voted on, the officers are the ones that are going to pay it. They don't even have an outlet to say, hey, this was wrong, or hey, this isn't true, or whatnot.
Yeah, well, I have no doubt we're going to get a counter proposal.
All right. I just want, this.
No,
Viewers are watching, so that's why I wanted to make sure that
Sure.
you asked the question.
Yeah, no, and look, I appreciate the dialogue. I don't have an issue talking about this stuff. But this is what we're proposing to try to address that situation. If you have a better idea, please bring it.
And with the old language, since I've been here over 3 years, we haven't gone to the personnel board for discipline yet. Is that fair?
That is fair.
Okay. So you guys haven't taken anything to the personnel board discipline related since I've been here?
So, do they have your number?
I think they've been texting Dana on the radio.
Okay.
No, that was Melissa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, whoever one of you guys can text me.
Yeah, so go ahead and take your caucus, and when you're ready, just text Joe, and we'll come on back.